Hello, vector artists of the internet and other weirdos. I'm Mark Shears, the Illustrator Geek, and I'm going to show you how to make really cool projects using Adobe Illustrator. I hope you find this video informative and inspiring, and I'm hoping it will be the first one of many. A word of warning though, this first video is probably really going to stink, because the first time you try anything, it usually isn't that great. And in fact, like the first time you make kaleidoscopes using the steps I'm going to show you in this video, yeah, the first ones are probably going to not be the greatest, but if you keep going with it, things will get better. So I'm just going to put this out there, and hopefully this will be the first of many, and hopefully the next ones, they'll just get better and better as time goes on. So today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Thank you. So I think these are cool, and hopefully you do too, and if you don't, then screw you, you don't have any taste and you're no fun at all. So let's get started here. Without further ado, let's open up Adobe Illustrator, and we will create a new document by going to File, New. And I'm just going to go with 1080 by 1080 because that's a good size that you can put into Instagram. I'm not trying to create any kind of high resolution art or anything like that. It's just a simple picture we can put in Instagram. So a couple of things that we want to do first is notice my workspace right now. All I'm really interested in using is the Properties panel and the Layers panel. And the Layers panel, the Properties panel. Properties panel is fairly new in recent versions of Illustrator. And at first I wasn't a fan because, you know, the first time you have to try and learn something, it's always new and it slows down your workflow. But I do highly recommend exploring and using the Properties panel because it really is an improvement. Next thing I want to do is my snap to pixels is currently turned on, and I want to turn that off because I don't want things snapping to pixels necessarily. I want things snapping to my guidelines and to anchor points. Now, if you're not familiar with snap to pixel, it's a little complicated, but just turn that off. Maybe I explain that in another video. Another thing I'm going to do is currently my guidelines are locked. I want them to be unlocked, so I'm going to click there to unlock my guides. Let's turn on some rulers. Show rulers, or Command R. I am going to draw a ruler. I want it to be exactly halfway in the middle. So I'm drawing it over to here, and in the Properties panel you can see that I successfully landed pretty much halfway in the middle. And so let's also draw one here. And oh no, I missed. Oh, actually I didn't miss. I'm right there. But let's say I had missed. Oops, I missed. One thing you can do is select both of the ruler guides, and I'm going to align those to the artboard using the alignment palette. You know what? Normally I want to have that control panel up top there. I guess it got turned off, so let's turn that back on. So here is my align to center, horizontal align to center. And here is my vertical align to center. And I'm going to click those. But notice first, I want to make sure that things are aligning to the artboard. They are. The other options, of course, align to selection or align to key object. But they are set to align to the artboard, which is what I want. So with the guides selected, I hit this one, and then I hit this one. And now both guidelines are nicely selected. Again, you can go over here and double check. X and Y coordinates are 540 pixels. With my guidelines in place, let's lock the guides. I don't want to accidentally move those around. Next thing I do is I'm going to go over to my line segment tool. Click on that for line segment. Click in the middle where it says intersect. I'm going to click and I'm going to enter a value of 800 pixels at 90 degrees. Hit OK. Now at the moment there is no color selected, which is actually okay, but just so it's more visible, I'm going to temporarily apply a color to this. Now, using my selection tool, or V, keyboard shortcut V, let's select that. And now go over to the rotate tool, R. Click that. You can see that when I'm exactly over the anchor point, I get a little highlight indicator saying I'm over the anchor point. So I'm going to hit Option and click. And this is the dialog I get. Now, I'm going to enter a value of minus 22.5 degrees. And this is where the line will end up. I hit my preview to see where the line will end up. But I don't want to just rotate the line. I actually want a copy of the line which is rotated. So I hit copy, and that's what I get. Now I'm going to select my lasso tool, or Q, to select these 2 points, and then go to Object, Path, Join. So now what I have is it's one path, as you can see here in my layers palette, one path, but it's an open path. And I'd like that to be a closed path. So I'm going to select that again with my selection tool, and I'm going to go Object, Path, Join. That will effectively close the path. And now we have what we need. Except this kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't like this, this rectangle being all kind of askew like that. So I'm going to go up to Transform and reset my bounding box. At this point, I have a wedge. And at this point, what I'm going to do is import a picture. So let's go to File, Place, and it opens up the navigator. And I'm going to select this image that I want to create a kaleidoscope from. And I'm going to rotate this image to 58 degrees. Now, there's nothing magical about 58 degrees. You certainly don't need to rotate your image to that exact value. But I find from already having messed around with this image that 58 degrees is a good angle for this image to give me a really cool looking kaleidoscope. I would like the image to be behind the wedge that I created. So using my layers palette, I just move it behind. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. I think this is probably about the placement where I would like it to be. This might be a problem. So I'm going to actually increase the size of this image a little bit. I'm just going to select the corner. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and the Alt key at the same time. And now let's nudge it back into place. All right. So here you can see that the picture fills the wedge triangle that I created. Now I'm going to select both of them and go to File, Clipping Mask, Make, and now the picture is within the boundaries of that wedge. Next step in creating this kaleidoscope, I'm going to select the wedge I created and use the Reflect tool, or O is the keyboard shortcut, the Reflect tool. Now it may be kind of hard to see, but you can see that when I hit the path, I get a little indicator that says path. That's what you want. And when it says path, go ahead and option click to bring up the dialog. It's a vertical reflection. You can preview it to make sure that's what you want it to be. But again, instead of making a copy that's flipped, instead of simply flipping it, I want to make a copy that's flipped. There we go. The next step is, and just to clean this up a little bit, at this point I can turn off my guides, so I'm going to hide my guides. At this point, select these again. Go over and select the rotate tool, or R is the keyboard shortcut. And you can see that I'm directly over the anchor point because I get that little guide, that little indicator that says I'm over the anchor point. Option click, and this brings up my rotate dialog. Now, the wedge we created is 22.5 degrees, and 2 together forms a slice which is 45 degrees. So I want to move this whole thing 45 degrees instead of 22.5 degrees. You can see if I preview, that's how far it's going to move, which is the correct distance. So hit copy. Now you can see things are starting to come into shape. Now I can use the transform again tool, and the keyboard shortcut for that is Command D. So I'm going to hit Command D again and several more times until I have completed my kaleidoscope. And now, just to clean things up a little bit, what I'm going to do is create a rectangle that's 1080 by 1080 pixels. That's the size of our artboard. I'll select it. I will align it to the center of the artboard like we did before. And now I'm going to create a layer-based vector mask, a layer-based mask for this. And this should be down here where it says make create clipping mask, but it's grayed out. But what I found is, and I don't know if this is a bug, but what I found is if I refresh my layers palette, then I actually get this as a highlight. So I click that and it has cleaned up our kaleidoscope. Let's export this so we have something to show on Instagram. Chicago Kaleidoscope. I'm going to say yes, use artboards. Screen resolution is fine. I have found that art optimized seems to give me better results. Background color doesn't really matter because there's no background color showing. Hit OK. It's going to output that for us. And at which point we will save this. Tutorial video 1. Enter. All those settings are fine. And close. So that's it. Today you learned how to make a really cool kaleidoscope using various features in Adobe Illustrator, namely the clipping path, the reflection tool, the rotation tool, a layer-based clipping mask. So go grab your favorite picture. Maybe it's a skyscraper or a cityscape, or maybe it's the box you live in, and see if you can make a kaleidoscope. I find that geometric pictures typically work better than, for example, a picture of a person, but who knows? Try it. See what happens. Go find a picture of your grandma or your puppy and see what happens when you kaleidoscopeify those pictures. Oh, next time I'm going to show you a different technique for making these that's really cool and it's going to blow you away. It's more complicated, but it's a little more sophisticated, but it's a little more powerful, and it lets you see exactly what's happening. And I don't know, I'll explain it next time. So thanks for watching the first ever Illustrator Geek tutorial video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's the only one so far, therefore it is by definition the best ever Illustrator Geek tutorial video. Hit the subscribe thingy, smash the notification bell, leave a comment, say nice things though. Don't be mean to me, okay? Please, I'm very fragile. So follow me, be part of my Illustrator Geek cult. It's gonna be awesome. All right, I think that's it. I think that's enough of that. So enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, be good, go out there, create some really cool art.